About a year ago, the content by search Webpart was not available in SharePoint Online. That meant you couldn't do any sort of cross-site publishing, and you really had to look at other approaches to doing things. So I posted a blog post about a year ago as really a stopgap to show you some ways that you could achieve cross-site publishing without using those actual features. And ultimately, it involved embedding some script, some JavaScript, directly in a page. So you could very easily go put some script that called out to some of the REST services that could, theoretically go look at list items in another site collection, and then you could display those any way that you wanted. And it was a really elegant way for me to achieve the same kind of thing that the content by search and cross-site publishing allows me to deliver. Now, fast forward a year, content by search and cross-site publishing is available in SharePoint Online. But that doesn't mean that those techniques aren't still valuable. So if we think about delivering just traditional web parts in the app model, the primary way for doing that is an app part. Now, an app part is displayed in what I like to call a iframe on steroids. Now, that iframe, it can have custom properties that get put in the URL so that you can pass properties into it. And it has the ability to communicate between the iframe and the host page that app part might be on. And it uses that for things like resizing. It can even use it to work with dialogues to some extent. So it is a powerful capability. However, delivering content within an iframe is never going to be 100% ideal. So imagine if you wanted a very responsive design to your website. So having that fluid user experience is going to be much harder to achieve. It's not impossible, but it's going to be much more hard to achieve using iframes than if I just have content natively on the page. So what I'm going to show you today is how we might be able to embed scripts on the page, make those reusable, and actually use our app model to deploy those and maybe embed those in a page. So what I'm going to do here really quickly is just show you at first the technique of embedding script on a page. I'm here on just a normal SharePoint site. I'm going to edit the page, and I have a few different ways that I can embed some script. So if I wanted to add some content up here, what I can simply do is go over to the Insert tab, and there is this option to do an embed code. Now, that embed code, that's basically the script editor web part. It's just a really quick one-button way for me to get to that. So if I click on this, I can simply paste in my script. And this is a very simple little script. It's just going to go out and it's going to, if we zoom in here, it's going to look at the user profiles. It's going to pull up my user profile properties, and I'm just going to go grab the picture URL. So I'm going to show my profile picture ultimately in this. Now, another thing that I'm doing, because this is an out-of-the-box page, is I'm actually referencing jQuery as well. So I'll go ahead and zoom out here and say Insert. And as soon as I do this, because I've embedded script in the page, there it is. It called that script, and it's gone out and pulled my profile picture from the My Site host, and then it's displaying it here on my page. Now, this isn't that reusable. In fact, if I click on here, you notice that I can just delete it, minimize it, just do basic things. And that's really the result of using the script editor. So I'm going to show you another option that I think is a little bit more reusable. You could do this, what I'm going to show you with the script editor, you just would have to do it a little bit more manually. You'd have to write your XML. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to actually insert a content editor web part. So I'll come down here to the media and content. I'll select content editor. And the reason I'm going to use the content editor, the reason why this is a little bit more useful for some of these techniques, is that once I actually go put my script in here, so I'll go ahead and launch the HTML view. There's my script in its entirety. Again, it's not a whole lot. I'll go ahead and say OK. And the benefit here now is once I save this, I actually have a pretty neat capability here to export the content editor web part. And if I were to go export this here, I'll save this just on my desktop. Actually, I'll just open it here. What you'll see is it includes all of our script. So this is a fantastic way to make something like this repeatable and reusable. If I, have some script and some HTML that I've put together, I can very easily go export this and then go upload it into my Webpart gallery. So I could simply, take this file and we could go over to Site Settings and go to my Webpart gallery. And I could go upload this here, and then anyone within the site could use that anywhere they wanted to. So that's a pretty cool concept. What I want to do is kind of bring this together and show you how we might be able to use this within an app. So I have a really simple little app that I created here. It's just a single page. But one of the things that you'll notice that I have in Solution Explorer, and I'll zoom in here, is I actually have a Webpart file. So that's that exported Webpart file. I made something look exactly the way I wanted to. It all has relative URL paths, so all of my REST calls are relative. I don't have any hard-coded domains in here. But what this is going to give me the ability to do is I'm going to be able to take this Webpart file, and through either maybe a app installed event or maybe just via some sort of button that I give the user, I can actually go add that to the Webpart gallery of my host web. Now I certainly do need some permissions in order to do that within my app, but that's just basic permissioning of apps. So let's take a look at this this app and run it. So let me zoom out here and we'll just go ahead and press play. Now this app is going to give me two options once it loads. It's a provider hosted app, so it's actually going to take me outside of SharePoint. In this case, because I'm debugging, it's going to be in localhost. So here it is, and it's showing me that first of all my Webpart already exists in the Webpart gallery. So I was kind of debugging this earlier, and then I can also add it to my home page. So we'll look at both those scenarios. First, I'll show you here that I don't have my profile picture displayed anywhere on this landing page. But let's go and delete this Webpart out of our Webpart gallery so we can actually see how we might be able to do that within our app. So I'm just going to go to Webpart gallery, and we'll go down. It's on the second page here. We're going to just delete it out of the Webpart gallery, and it's pretty easy to find because it has a little new icon. So there it is, my pick Webpart, and we'll just go and delete this. Alright, so now it's gone. It's no longer in our Webpart gallery. So if we were to go back into our app, what you'll see is we have two X's. So I don't have a Webpart in the gallery, nor do I have it on my home page. So what we want to do is actually go add this to the Webpart gallery. Now I can't do this using a traditional module because modules in the app model get added to the app web and not my host web. And I need this app part, or I'm sorry, this web part in the host web. So the code to actually do this is actually pretty simple. So let me go ahead and bring up my page here. And we have a simple function down here that is add to the gallery. So whenever they click the add to gallery button, we're simply going to go, first of all, look up the Webpart gallery list, and then we're going to go grab our Webpart file and simply just do an upload of it. So it's just like operating on normal files with SharePoint and CSOM. We're just going to very simply go upload that file into the Webpart gallery. So we could put a breakpoint here and see that running, but we'll go ahead and say add. So that's going to go and do a postback that will add it to our Webpart gallery. So now if I go back to our landing page, here's the really exciting thing. If I come up here to edit and insert, we're going to be able to find that Webpart ready to go. So it's going to be under miscellaneous down here. And there you can see there's the My Profile Pick Webpart that we have. So our app was able to deploy this for us into the host web here. Now I could add this very simply. So I'll just go ahead and add it just to give you an example. So here we'll add it to our page, and you can see it displays our profile picture just using the normal REST scripts. I'm going to go ahead and say delete. Let's actually go add it now from our app. So the Office AMS community effort has examples on how to add web parts to both Webpart pages and Wiki pages. So this happens to be a Wiki page, and that's what we're going to do in our app. So I'll go back into our app here. We've already used our app to add our web part. Again, we're not doing app parts here. These are real web parts. We added that web part to our host web. Now we're actually going to go insert it into the home page of the host web. So I'll go ahead and click the add button here, and that's going to go post back, and we got a little green light now. And if I go back to our home page, what we should see, it'll be at the very bottom, but I should see my picture because we've inserted that into the page using our app. So hopefully this shows you a few things. One is that using inline scripts to create Webpart content is very powerful and useful because it can be much more fluid and responsive without me having to do any sort of technical gymnastics. The second thing is you can combine it with the app model to do the types of things that you want to do, like get those web parts deployed to your host web and maybe even place them automatically on pages. So in this case, I very easily was able to both add it to the Webpart gallery and insert it in my page. So check out the blog for more details and look for this sample in the Office AMS community effort in the near future.